I do want to ask you about some current events, starting with last night. Former President Donald Trump was charged with 3 new felonies in the classified documents case. He was also indicted twice this year. As you know, you are a supporter of the former president. Does this news, do these indictments deter you at all?
No, they don't. And I will add, they actually embolden my support for President Trump, because what we are seeing is a two-tier justice system. What we are seeing is the weaponization of the Department of Justice against political rivals. That is exactly what is happening here. Compare the two cases that are happening in front of our eyes. Hunter Biden got a sweetheart plea deal, and it was a sweetheart plea deal. And the only reason why it fell apart is because the federal judge started asking questions about the elements of the plea deal. Meanwhile, you have a former president who, by the way, has documents and who still has top security clearance in the country. I think what's lost on a lot of people is the former presidents, all of them, still get the daily presidential briefing. They still get it when they leave office. So they keep their security clearance. The Presidential Records Act gives every president a 5-year period to go through all their documents and work with NARA. What's happened here is NARA and the Department of Justice and the White House decided that they wanted to take an administrative issue and criminalize it. It is disgusting and it's wrong. You don't want to like Donald Trump, that's fine. But to turn the Department of Justice against a former president, who, by the way, is running for president, is obscene. And I think that most Americans see it.
I am going to ask you about Hunter Biden in just a moment, but I'm sure you did see the photos and the unsealed indictment of documents in a shower, in a bathroom, in a ballroom. If one of the foreign leaders abroad, our allies or not, was holding classified documents this way, what would you make of that?
Wait, I want to make sure I hear this right. If a foreign leader was holding these
So,
documents,
so no, not our documents. So if
oh,
what would your reaction be if a former leader of one of our friends kept their documents this way? Like the former leader of Germany, the former leader of the UK, someone like that.
well, the first thing is, and this is where these pictures come in. First, that's a leak from the Department of Justice, which, by the way, is a criminal act. The Department of Justice is not allowed to leak information to the press. You couldn't get those pictures, and they got them before they released the indictment. But you couldn't do that unless somebody leaked it from the Department of Justice. That's one. Number two, the areas in question on Mar-a-Lago are actually secure. Are they secured skiffs? No. But Mar-a-Lago is patrolled by Secret Service. I've been there many times. You just can't walk around the place and walk into a room and say, "Ooh, look at these documents. Let me grab them." If they're stored in a room, NARA knows that they're stored in various rooms. The fact that they want to release it to try to defame or to damage President Trump is wrong. That's number two. Number three, every president has taken documents with them. Every one of them has. This has never been an issue with any other president. President Obama took millions of pages of documents. His documents were stored they were in a storage locker in Chicago. NARA went out and saw it, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this isn't as secure as we want." Did they go through some administrative procedure against President Obama? No, they didn't. Did they go to the Department of Justice to try to say, "Oh my gosh, these records are not secure. We need to bring in the Department of Justice"? No, they didn't. And that's the problem that we're having here.
Do you think the issue here is the alleged cover-up of the mishandling of these documents? Because that's what seems to be the difference between how he handled those documents and how President Joe Biden handled the documents that were found in his garage. Do you see a difference at all between the two cases?
The only difference is that this is pure politics. That's the difference in the case. Let's talk about a little bit, because you raised a good point. The documents found at President Biden's beach house, which, by the way, I don't know how you buy a beach house on a U.S. senator's salary, because they don't make that much money. But that being said, the documents in question were from when he was vice president of the United States. Vice presidents do not have the ability to take documents with them. He had other documents from when he was a United States United States congressman. It is a violation of the Espionage Act for me to remove classified information from a skiff. U.S. senators don't have that ability. U.S. congressmen don't have that ability. But Joe Biden did that. Is the Department of Justice going after him? No. The only reason why they're doing this is because Donald Trump is running for president, and they're trying to weaponize our justice system. It's wrong. So there's no justification for what they're doing. Let me add this. Jack Smith, the special counsel, He was actually up to be a U.S. attorney. You know who didn't let him be a U.S. attorney? Donald Trump, because he didn't give him the job. So Jack Smith doesn't have any issues with Donald Trump. Give me a break. This is the problem that is going on. Oh, and by the way, the special counsel looking into the Joe Biden document case, they're still doing their investigation. So why is it that their investigation moves very, very slow? Because Joe Biden had documents that were not secure, that he shouldn't have had anyway, versus Donald Trump's, who were actually secured in his property, that is secured by Secret Service. This is what I'm talking about. If you want to say how he handled documents, this is why the president and every former president has the ability to cooperate with NARA over a 5-year period.
Congressman, I do hear your support of the former president, and I am curious. I know this is a hypothetical, but let's say he tapped you to be vice president. Is that something you would be interested in?
Yeah. I mean, it's an honor. The funny thing is, people give these political answers. Oh, well, I'm just working on behalf of my community, and come on, man. If you're asked to serve in that capacity, who says no? Unless once you really go through that process, and it may not be a good thing for your family, it just may not be time. You might want to do something else, etc. And that's all fine. Everybody makes decisions, but to consider it, of course, anybody would.
And do you think this would be the time?
I don't know. You got to see. You got to see where you are when you get there, and that's me. That's how I am. I always, when I talk to my sons, I always try to tell my sons, like, listen, when you come to these points in your life, yeah, you're gonna have to make a hard decision sometimes. I always tell them, take the hard road. You actually come out a better person at the end. That's my advice for my own children. But I think in terms of preparing yourself for the next thing, my attitude is just stay ready. You got to always be ready. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready.